Why is New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signing into law a new bill that would expand abortion to right up to the moment of birth? Why now? Isn't there enough abortion in New York? You know, the Roe versus Wade, actually, if you read the actual decision, it allows for the states to regulate abortion up till and to ban abortion in the third trimester unless there's a damn good reason for it. The life of the mother is a woman is going to die unless she has an abortion. And I think it also allowed some regulation in the second trimester as well. So the states have some wiggle room. They've got some leeway when it comes to regulating abortion. And yet Governor Cuomo, a Roman Catholic, I may add, has decided that the abortion laws in New York State are not liberal enough. Suddenly there's this need to expand it to right up to the moment of birth. Why is he doing this politically? Does he think that is he planning to run for president and he thinks that the country is going to applaud this? And if so, what does it say about America? You know, are we really at this point so depraved that we would support heinous and barbaric practices like cutting the baby's head off as they come out of the womb and dismembering the bodies? We know there's been videos indicating that Planned Parenthood is in the business of harvesting parts of the baby's bodies and selling them. I don't think that's even questioned. Even NPR has talked about that. You know, I think that the American people, history it's important to understand history. And it's important to understand that the history of abortion is not a woman's right to choose. That's a very recent marketing ploy, frankly. But it's actually a history of eugenics. It's Darwinian-inspired eugenics that was the first impetus to legalize abortion. Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist, first and foremost. She believed in, human beings as viewed as human, useless eaters and as dysgenic races. And she wrote extensively in her journal about, reducing, culling certain populations that she felt perhaps were less evolved. She was a very, very much a radical Darwinian who believes that, individual human beings are not created in the image of God, but rather we're just at different levels of evolution. Some are more evolved than others. And this whole eugenic idea really began to take root in the United States even before Europe, amongst the left liberal elite, the population control crowd. It was Chief Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes who in 1925 wrote a decision called Buck versus Bell, which legalized the right or the ability of the state of Maryland to forcibly sterilize a woman because she was viewed as, I think Wendell Holmes says in the decision, an imbecile. And do we need to see more idiots, as he said, reproduced? In other words, he thought it was good for the human race to reduce populations and individuals that were viewed as less evolved. And what Margaret Sanger called the dysgenic races. That's why in the 1930s she set up the Negro Project to try to reduce the population of black people. She set up a clinic in Harlem. Black people who were religious at the time and who were Christians, they didn't buy it. So they went in and they started to, grease some palms, as they used to say in Boston. Pay off some ministers and corrupt people with money and with grants and with favors, much of it coming from the Rockefellers, to allow them to then start to promote the idea of, quote, birth control and get people to go to these clinics. This coincided with the the undermining and the attempt at destroying the black church, which was one of the great moral forces in America, by the way, and which I think was responsible for strengthening the white church, the Protestant churches, and the Catholic too, as I suppose. And that by undermining them, it made it more possible to continue this eugenic experiment, culling the herd, culling the population, reducing people that were seen as inconvenient to this establishment. Ultimately, it's the perfect and most essential element of the entire socialistic enterprise going all the way back, which is public ownership of the mode of production. In other words, the government controls what you do, to its most basic essence, which is the government gets to control and decide who lives and who dies. And they encourage a humane death. But instead, in the 1960s, they repackaged this as a woman's right to choose, and that somehow abortion was seen as something good for women. Now, I would just conclude here by putting aside whether or not a person supports legal abortion. That is a legitimate political question. It really comes down to the fact that if we do accept legal abortion in this country, we have to regulate it so that it's reduced to the point where it becomes very rare. Bill Clinton himself said, and of course he didn't mean it, abortion should be rare and legal, but rare. And, I get that. I actually, frankly, support that. But, to expand it like this and to glorify it, and he's lighting up the World Trade Center in pink lights to celebrate this expansion into these barbaric practices of partial birth abortion, which is exactly what this is sick. It's bizarre. And the fact that Andrew Cuomo professes to be a Catholic makes it even stranger. I hope the Catholic Church excommunicates him. I'm not a Catholic, so I can't, I'm not on the inside on that, but I would hope they would. And as a Jew, I would hope that if he were a Jew, then a Beit Din of rabbis would excommunicate him for this too. It's simply a complete lack of respect for human life, and that we are created in the image of God, and as such, we have a right to life. I understand abortion. I don't want to go into that. But let's try to discourage it as much as possible by restoring conventional, traditional, moral, and ethical values. And let's not celebrate the expansion of abortion like this is something virtuous. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Charles Moscowitz. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got to build up those numbers so I can really make this into a going concern. And I appreciate it. Have a good day.